This episode of The Big 60 is brought to you by Inviva. Unlock the power of your home equity.
If you're old enough to remember when phones had cords and the only thing that went viral was a cold, then you're in the right place. Welcome to The Big 60 with Kaylee Harris and Guy Rawlinson. Because who better to discuss life's second act than two people who still think mature is a type of cheese?
Welcome to the Big 60 podcast, where we poke fun at everything to do with being 60 or over. And there are good and bad things about being 60 or over. We don't care what people think of us anymore, which is a positive. But we do care about certain things. We care about money. We care about our health. G'day, Guy.
Well, yeah, there too. There too. I care about a lot of other things.
Okay. Well, that was just two that sprung to mind.
Yeah, well, I'll go with you on that one.
All right. Yeah. And we all worry about different things in life, but let's face it, the stuff you worry about changes over time. When you think about it, what you worry about in your teens, you couldn't care less about now. Like, does my bum look big in this? Or, is Tom going to give me a call and ask me out on a date this weekend? Like, I don't care.
What happened to Tom?
I don't know. Well, that was a pretend name.
Oh.
There was no Tom.
Sorry.
In your 20s, you worry about whether you're going to find the right partner or get that promotion you want. In my 30s, I was worried about whether my kids would turn out to be dickheads or not, and how the hell I was going to pay the mortgage for the next 30 years. So I honestly, seriously did worry that I would be a bad mum and that they would turn out to be bad kids as a result of that. So what about you in your 30s? What were you worried about?
I was worried about job security, because technology was really starting to ramp up then. So there was a lot of that going on. And as a result, my family was a worry to me, because you think, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to have this career in my 40s or 50s, or what am I going to do?
Who's going to pay the bills?
That's right.
In your 40s, you start worrying about health and your kids again, because they're teenagers by this stage. In your 50s, you start worrying about your elderly parents because they're on the way down. Well, not everyone, so you know what I mean, right? Yeah. In our 60s, judging by the feedback that we're getting from our listeners, we worry about all of that and more. So let's unpack it.
Yeah, look, when you say 50s and elderly parents and those sort of things, have we reached that point yet where we're going to be starting to be those parents that our kids are going to start worrying about?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
I get a bit of a nudge in the ribs sometimes from my daughter about, Mum, have you got the dementias? If I forget where the car keys are or something. So
at a certain age, that nudge in the ribs could actually be a hospitalisation too, because that's a broken rib.
Oh, that's right.
Don't worry about dementia, Mum. I've just broken 2 ribs.
Well, let's talk about that, because one of the things you worry about, I don't know about you, but in the last probably 10 years, I've had a couple of falls and, tripped on something or tripped going up the stairs or whatever, and had a couple of falls. And it really shakes your confidence, doesn't it? Has it happened to you or not yet?
Not yet, but there's a story that a couple of friends have mentioned that you're getting older when either A, it goes from being a fall to a nasty fall. Whether it's the same fall or not, there's the inverted commas nasty fall. And also if you're getting old, because let's say you're still going to the gym, for example. If you fall over and do yourself a bit of a mischief, if everyone laughs, you're not old. But if they start gathering around you and think, oh, hang on, do we dial 000?
Yeah.
You're old.
You know you're old for sure.
Yeah.
And you don't, I don't know about you, I get bruises on myself now, and I don't know how I got them. Whereas when you were a kid, that bruise was a badge of honour, and you knew exactly where you got it from, because you probably burst into tears. But I look at myself and, getting changed and stuff in the mirror, and I go, where did I get that from?
Yeah,
I don't even remember bumping myself and there'll be a bruise there.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that yet. But what I do is I keep hitting my head on things.
What?
Like, yes, I know. I had to explain myself the other day to a guy that was coming around, and I said, oh, it's because I'm wearing a hat. I had no idea that I was...
Yeah.
No. I hit my head on things. It's more than Muhammad Ali probably would have taken in the ring as far as that's concerned. Because, I get cuts on my head, but I have I'm oblivious to the fact that it's actually happened.
Is it
and I'll
like
come
a
inside.
spatial awareness thing? You think that's diminishing?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. And it's apparently it's quite common, that whole, and thank goodness it doesn't happen with your driving.
Yes.
I don't know whether I can fit into that space. Oh, there's
Pardon?
another. Yeah, sorry.
What was that?
That was my car scraping up against the pillar in the
was
shopping
very
centre.
good. It was,
I'm sorry. But yeah, maybe it's a spatial awareness thing. I'm not sure.
And even little things like when I go downstairs now, I hold on. I never used to.
Yeah.
Never used to. And sometimes if you're running upstairs, I used to be able to run up 2 at a time. Don't do that anymore.
No, I'm with you on the whole. I need to hold on to a rail when I'm going. We've got stairs at our place. You've been to our place, and there was a time where you would just walk down those stairs, and also there's stairs, if you've ever come across them, which don't seem to have like the back part of the stair, and it's just open, and that almost freaks me out. If I'm going up a whole lot of stairs and all I can see is this cavernous sort of hole between each of the stairs, I definitely need to hold on to the rails.
Well, staying within the whole health thing, obviously there's the dementia is the big one. That there's so much publicity about it these days, and so many the numbers are increasing from what we hear. That's a worry, isn't it? And you find that I worry about that, and you think if you forget something or forget someone's name or like forget where you leave your car keys, you think, is this the beginning of it?
Yeah, it is, and it's really easy because it's publicised so much, and some of our friends, I'm sure people their parents are going through it or friends are going through it, and it is really it's quite confronting when you think, well, I do forget things from time to time, and is this the start of something bigger? And it just sits with you sometimes, doesn't it?
But everyone forgets stuff from time to time, but we're very harsh on ourselves.
Yeah, it's true. A friend of mine that was a former colleague, and I won't name them, it happened to someone very close to them where just out of the blue they were aware that this person was, the whole car key sort of thing. But then one day he rang them and said, look, I'm on my way home. I've forgotten which way I need to sort of
to get home.
And thought, oh gosh, that was in the space of just a few months that all came about. But yeah, it's scary stuff.
Yeah. So health is a biggie, I think, for us, isn't it? So and that sort of feeds into loss of independence, which is we all worry about what's going to happen, if we can't live in our own home, or if we have to go into care, which we may at some stage. So, and losing your independence and that ability to decide to do what you want when you want, all of those things, that it's somewhere down the track, someone's going to have to make those decisions for you.
Yeah, and there's one day, you wake up one day, and it's like everything. One day something is there, and the next day, strangely enough, it's not. I don't know whether it happens that quickly or it's just that slow progression, but it's that responsibility on family or friends, because invariably you don't make that decision yourself and say, look, I don't think I'm capable of doing this anymore, and living independently. It's usually made by your kids, because they're concerned for your welfare.
Yeah, well, it's often made in the hospital car park at 10 o'clock at night when you've had a fall and the doctor says they can't go home. And so you're all of a sudden there going, what are we going to do? Where are we going to put mum or dad? Or I'm just going through this with some relatives at the moment that didn't want to go into care, should have been in care, but didn't want to go into care and was adamant that she wanted to stay in her own home. And I understand that. I can completely understand that. So it's a real dilemma, isn't it, for us, for our generation, because we don't know what the future's going to look like for us, but also for our families who care about us and love us. And
it's scary for me personally, only because of, I've seen situations where, I won't say kicking and screaming, but you just know that, mum or dad or grandma or just really want to and believe in their heart and their mind that they can live, quite happily. But you see it time and time again, don't you?
But you also worry about the horror stories about aged care facilities. There's been a lot of government intervention talking about changing things and regulation, and you worry about the place that if you do go into somewhere, what's it going to be like? Are they going to look after you? And
That's a big concern.
Yeah.
But once again, the media. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of the aged care facilities are wonderful places, and and it's the care and the medicals there. But it's a financial constraint as well on the families, not just an emotional one and a healthcare one either, right?
Well, exactly, and that's a whole podcast on its own, which we've done recently. Financial stability, and how do we worry about? Am I going to run out of money? Who's going to pay for me if I have to go into a nursing home? How much money do I need? How long am I going to live? Because apparently we're living longer. Not unusual to live into your 90s now, but if you're retiring at 65, that's a long time to need money. So that whole financial independence as well.
Yeah, I know a lot of financial advisors do projections, and there's numbers that are bandied around that you need X amount of money to continue living the lifestyle you want to live until a certain age. But as is relevant lately, when you see cost of living going up so markedly and without any warning, all of a sudden you think those projections are based on a fairly flatline sort of increase in costs and inflation and CPI. But as we're speaking now, we're looking at the fuel spike in costs and everything else, and all of a sudden that plays into your mind and say, do I have enough to actually live? Because, that's fine. I'm going to be fine yesterday until the age of 80. But all of a sudden tomorrow, is that all of a sudden change?
Yeah.
It's scary.
And it's not knowing whether it's going to all of a sudden change.
That's it.
Yeah. When we're younger, do you remember, we had so many friends, we were surrounded by friends and people, and you could pick up the phone on a weekend and go out with any number of people, you'd catch up with them. Social isolation. It's a really big deal for a lot of older people.
Yeah. It is.
For a variety of reasons. There's no finger pointing on is it the person's fault? Is it the people around them? None of that. Forget all of that. But social isolation is something that is a real issue for older people. Do you see it in your circle as well?
Yeah, to a point. I've been very fortunate. I've got a lot of friends from even back in my school days, and we make a point of catching up, all that sort of thing. But that's once or twice a year. Where you'll catch up, and that's great. But there's 360 odd days the rest of the year where you can't just have, say, the radio or the cat as your sounding board or your point of of reference as far as company is concerned. And it's easy to say, look, go and join a social group or this. It's not easy.
It's not that easy.
It's not that easy, and at a certain age, you do find it more difficult to actually just make that initial move to say, well, I may have moved to a new address or I may have whatever. Just to go out and be brave and do that. It may not have any interest whatsoever in doing that, but, as we get older...
It's still a big step.
It's a massive
And
step.
do you remember there was a series on the ABC a couple of years ago, Old People's Home for 2-year-olds and Old People's Home for teenagers? There were 2 seasons of it where they selected a bunch of older people in retirement villages and paired them up in the first episode with toddlers or little kids and the second episode with teenagers. And the recurring theme for all of these older people, it might be in a retirement village surrounded by people their own age, but they still felt isolated.
Yeah.
And they still felt very alone.
Yeah. And if you're in that situation, once again, we're only in our 60s. We've got family that are relatively close by, but we're in that fortunate position to be able to have that interaction. But as families move, whether it's for professional reasons or whatever, the tyranny of distance sometimes plays a role in that. And yes, I know we've got communications now, whether you're going to be doing a Zoom call, it's not the same. You need to have that touch and feel of, whether it's friends, family, whoever.
Yeah. Exactly. Another biggie, safety and security.
Yeah.
Because we live in that age where, there is so much panic on the television in news stories about things we need to be worried about, breaking news and this is happening, or the war in Iran at the moment, or the news tends to be very negative with crime and things like that. And you do, when you get older, worry about your security more, don't you?
Yeah, of course. I'm not sure, and this is me speaking, I'm not sure whether the prevalence of crime is greater or the reporting of it presents it as being greater.
Definitely the reporting, I think.
Yeah.
I think is a lot more dramatic.
Yes, yeah. But it doesn't alter the fact that it's there. regardless of whether it's reported more often or the frequency is increased. It seems that it has always been there, and as you get older, your ability to probably circumvent what you perceive as a danger is much harder because, frankly, you're older. You're seen as a target sometimes.
Particularly with scams.
Yes.
Because, our generation, we're so trusting, and trying to keep up with the technology and the latest scams that those scammers are so clever. Scams are a worry. Elder abuse, which is flies under the radar a lot with a lot of people, and we're not talking physical abuse. We're talking with that as well, but there are other types of abuse.
Yeah, of course.
As well.
And as you're saying with scams, I mean, once upon a time, the big scam was like, I'm a Nigerian prince, you've inherited this. But these days, of course, there are things that with AI and voice recognition, and it could be that phone call that you think, this is my daughter or my son, after something. They're getting so clever, and it's a concern. But as you're saying, with elder abuse as well, so many instances where things have been reported, and it's just it's the unscrupulous people among us and those that have agendas that seem to prey on we're the latest in the food chain. That's just.
I got a text message the other day on my phone, and it said, "Hi, Mum. My phone has been damaged by water. I'm texting you from a friend's phone. Can you please message me?"
Yep.
And luckily I'd heard on the news that was a scam and didn't touch it. But it just goes to show that if you don't know, you might go, oh, wow, one of my kids. It's an emotive issue. All of a sudden one of your kids needs you. Of course you're going to jump on there and do that.
Yeah. I worry about the banking scams that are so elaborate now.
Yep.
And I'm sure our kids probably look at it and think, oh, Mum, Dad, yeah. But look, they're not going to be looking over our shoulders 24/7.
Yeah.
And it puts into perspective too things like in our day, inverted commas.
Yeah.
If you wanted to find Kaylee's home address, you'd go to the white pages, look at the phone number, look at the address, and
Absolutely.
there you go.
Absolutely.
Have a look in her letterbox. And I think, my gosh, these days you get those scams.
Yeah. They're everywhere. Let's talk about, this is a biggie. Well, I think there's a whole nother podcast in this, but let's talk about death and dying.
Yeah.
It's
does that scare you?
Yeah. Yes and no. It's inevitable. So I try not to let it scare me because I can't change it. I can't do anything about it. It's going to happen one day. I, like everybody, want to die peacefully in my bed at night. That may or may not happen. But yeah, you do worry about missing out on the lives of the people around you and your loved ones if you pass on. You're not going to be there to see them grow up or to see your grandchildren grow up or whatever.
And the simple answer to that sometimes, where you'll get someone who's, a lot more philosophical about things than I am, will say, do you recall prior to birth? And the answer is always, no, I don't. And the idea that you think you're going to be missing out on, seeing someone grow up, once you're gone, you're gone. It's only while you're living here
that you worry about that.
You worry about it. But
good point.
That's a natural, that's a natural part of living that you think I'm going to miss out on this. Well, it's not like you're going to know you're going to be missing out on that.
That's true.
It's up until, but still, you're right. It's like you'd just like to go to sleep peacefully one night, and
well, that comes from not knowing what is there, and it depends on your religious beliefs and what you believe, whether you believe in reincarnation or heaven or whatever, or that maybe there's nothing there. None of us know what happens when you die, and I think there's a bit of fear there as to what's going to happen.
Yeah, and none of us know. There was a great book that I read many years ago about a man who was given the opportunity to pick his time and place, and would you take that option? And I thought, no, why would you? Why would you do that? But yeah, look, I think it's a natural thing to think, well, I am going to be missing out on this. And the concept of death is something that we're not prepared for. And as you say, it depends on your beliefs, whether that's religious, a spiritual belief. And you hear so many times people are at ease with something. Well, I don't know any of us are actually at ease with it that may have had a traditional sort of maybe, upbringing, but it's a question that we all have to approach, and it's something that we also have to speak to our children about too.
And I don't think it's something that is embraced in society in general. You don't people, when you just want to talk about death, people say, no, don't talk about it, don't talk about it. It's like saying, well, just because I talk about sex doesn't mean I'm going to get pregnant. Death is the same. I can talk about it. Doesn't mean I'm going to die in the next 24 hours. And I think we need to be having more conversations around what's going to happen, because like I said, it's inevitable. It's going to happen to all of us, and we keep pushing it away and pushing it back, and everyone's too scared to talk about it or to look at how it could be a more positive experience or a less painful experience, or more transitional. But I think there's a whole nother podcast that we need to do on that, because that's a big space.
Well, let's put a bullet point on that one. Let's speak to someone about that if we can. And I'm sure we'll get a few more insights about how that all comes to be, and probably what it means for people, whether they're in their 60s, it might be their 70s, it may be something earlier, but some solace.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Hey, we've got to go.
Yep.
All right. Speak to you
ya.
later. Bye.
I'll worry about you later.
The views and opinions expressed on the Big 60 are personal and reflect those of the hosts and guests. They do not represent the views or positions of any affiliated organisations or companies. This podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as professional advice. Please consult with a qualified professional for guidance on any personal matters.
Oh, and before we go, let's give credit where credit is due. Kaylee Harris and I came up with all the genius content for this week's episode. Our producer, Nick Abood, well, he keeps the lights on and makes sure we don't accidentally upload a cat video instead of a podcast. So thanks for keeping us on track, Nick. Nick?